How do you do, fellow kids? This is Nate from Geezer Skate, and in this episode, we're going in a little bit different direction. Before we begin this episode, if you could hit that subscribe button, drop us a comment, leave us a like, maybe even pick up some merch in the links below. Do one of those things there, help the channel out. We would greatly appreciate it. Our past few episodes have featured big things. Big boards, big wheels, big personalities, big pads, etc. You get the picture. But today, we're going tiny. Specifically, tiny wheels. So, a little history here. So skateboarding, started out in the late 1960s, progressed throughout the 70s, 80s. So, back in the 60s and 70s, you had really small, narrow boards. And with these small, narrow boards, you still had pretty large wheels. And then late 70s, early 80s, the board size just, expanded greatly, to where, you had 10, 11-inch boards. And then the wheels just got giant, even bigger with that, getting like 65 millimeter wheels, for ramp riders. And then in the early 90s, starting around like 1992, wheel sizes started to shrink along with board sizes. The advent of the popsicle stick started, bringing in, more technical tricks. Everybody wanted to, be more low to the ground, so you could do a lot more flip tricks, grinds, just a lot of stuff on, street skating, because it was all about street skating. Vert was dead at that point. Well, don't tell Tony Hawk that. It was all about street skating, and with that, just you staying low, just doing your tricks, linking them up together, putting as many tricks together as possible, going from a blunt side to peanut butter flip, all of these things happened, with the changing shape of the boards, and then, the shrinking of the wheels, just making it easier to get into those technical tricks there. I just wanted to, go back to the past here, because one of the first boards I ever bought with my own money from California Cheapskates, the mail order catalog at that time, not the website, and that's how old I am. So this would have been 1993, I believe, is when I ordered this. I got a Salmon Aga reel deck along with Thunder trucks, and then California Cheapskates wheels. They were 37 millimeters, super tiny. I mean, they barely covered the bearings, and if you hit a pebble, you were flying. It was not good. They were ridiculous wheels. So, anyways, as I've gotten older, my wheels have gotten bigger. When I got back into skating in 2014, I was riding like 55 millimeter wheels. That was kind of, that felt good to me at that point. But as I've gotten even older here, and I'm riding more of the shaped style decks, the old school decks and things like that, my wheels have progressively gotten larger till I'm riding pretty much exclusively 60 millimeter wheels these days. So I just was thinking, there's all this nostalgia for the 90s. It's been around for a while. Everyone's looking back fondly at the 90s. Since I lived it, like this shirt I'm wearing here, this is, approximately 30 years old. This is my original Think t-shirt. But anyways, I just thought, hey, let's try some tiny wheels again. Let's just see, let's see how they ride, especially after I've been riding 60 millimeter wheels for the past 4 years. Let's go down to these super tiny wheels here, which, as you'll see, they barely cover the bearing here. These are 40 millimeter wheels. They are made by Autobahn. They are not an original 90s wheel company. In fact, they started out in the early 2000s, 2001 to be exact. So they've been making wheels for a little over 20 years. This, I believe, is the smallest wheel they make at 40 millimeters. And as you can see, they're pretty narrow, barely any contact patch. As you can see here, they do not cover the nut from my truck here. So as you can see, this would probably not be an ideal wheel for doing a whole lot of slappies or grinds and things like that, because you're you'd be in danger of grinding your nut down here and making it impossible to, you know, change your wheel out off of your truck. So right off the bat, you know, I can see issues with that. Obviously, you know, pebbles are probably going to be an issue here as I take this for a spin. I gotta say, I'm a little nervous about riding wheels this small because it has been so long since I've ridden anything this small. I'm used to, you know, big wheels that can pretty much ride over anything. These are hard wheels too. They are 100A durometer, whereas, you know, what I've been riding lately is either in the, you know, 78 to 85 durometer range. So this will be a bit of a change from that. I thought it would be funny too, just to put it on, put these style wheels on, you know, one of my big shaped boards here. This is a Scram Whopper. So it's at its widest point, it's I think 10.125 inches or something like that. So, you know, pretty ridiculous here with the Ace 77 trucks on here, the AF1 77s. Just thought it would be a fun experiment to see, you know, how this goes. So, I mean, hey, you know, tiny wheels, what could go wrong, right? If you've ridden tiny wheels, if you know, remember fondly the days of big pants, tiny wheels, why don't you drop us a comment below and share your experiences with us. And, you know, did this video convince you to try out tiny wheels again? Well, proceed with caution and do so at your own risk, you know, because no pain, no gain, right? Hopefully not too much pain. Well, thanks everyone for watching this episode of Geezer Skate with me surviving on these tiny wheels. Amazingly, I did not hit a rock or anything that threw me over. I was actually a little surprised by that. I actually went over some cracks and everything without issues. So am I going to switch my big wheels to these tiny wheels permanently? I don't think so, but you know what? This did convince me that I should probably go with a harder wheel because I was actually able to go really fast with these. That was one of the things I was most surprised about, was keeping up my speed with these wheels and then, you know, being these 100A durometers. So I think I might, you know, switch up my wheels. I've got a set of Dragon wheels that I'm going to try out here next. Those are 93As. So a little bit softer than these, but I'm super stoked to see how those skate. And then a viewer suggested that I try a smaller wheel, go back to like a 56 millimeter. So I'll probably give those a try here too coming up. Well, till next time, keep skating and stop aging.